Hello, Degens! Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I am the Brofict One AJ, and with me, as always, is the Sportsbook Whisperer, the man with the numbers, Mr. Noah Engelbretson. Noah, I gotta ask, I know the answer though, how the hell you doing today?
Well, AJ, just got done watching two fantastic college basketball games, so no complaints on my end.
Hey, we're getting towards the end of the season, and I was talking with one of my buddies the other day at work, and we were talking about college ball and everything, and, I took some spread that was like at 6.5, 7 points, and, it came down to the wire, 1 point, 2 point game. And, these teams are trying, they're putting in their effort, and we're getting a lot of good games down the stretch, really seeing these teams try to jockey for position going into conference play and everything. Obviously, the conference championship meaning so much for the tournament and everything like that. So, I'm stoked that we were just talking about it off air. 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah, about 2 weeks out from conference tournaments. I mean, some of the mid majors, they've got only 2-3 games scheduled left. Those tournaments seem to start about a week earlier than a lot of the major conference ones, which will literally go up until I think we typically have some of those final games, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday, ending like early afternoon, and then jump straight into Selection Sunday after that.
Yep. Right
I feel like
into Selection Sunday.
it's usually like the Big Ten has like the last game or something, and you know
Of course,
ends by
leave to the
two or
Big
three
Ten to be
p.m.
leave to the Big Ten to be pulling up the rear like that. But hey, after conference and after Selection Sunday, Noah, March 17th, we got first round of March Madness live in Decentraland for the first time ever. We'll be over there. Big announcement, obviously. If you're following us on Twitter, you've seen the studio. If you're in Decentraland, you've probably been there, checked it out. I mean, you gotta go see what's going on and see where we're going to be having just an incredible weekend. Noah's super stoked about that. Anything to say about that before we get into the big thing, everything everything else that's going on today? It was a kind of not really a. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's gonna be great. You're gonna want to be there. You're not gonna want to miss it. So make sure you get that figured out. I don't fully understand how it works yet, but we will be primed and ready to go by the time the day rolls around. You know, give both you guys and myself. I know AJ knows what's going on pretty well, but yeah, give a little bit of
I'll put
time to get familiarized with the whole the whole situation, because this is brand new. It's a brand new form of media. It's never
brand
been
new.
done
It's
before.
exciting. It's very exciting.
It's a brand new frontier.
You know what, Noah? You just gave me a great idea. I'm off tomorrow. I got some free time. I'm going to make a video kind of explaining what it is and what it is we're doing and how we're doing it and everything. And I'll be able to explain it very basically because all of the people that are able on the programming side of it to make it run and make it possible to do what do what we're doing, I will butcher what they try to explain to me, bro. I understand everything on a very third grade level, and honestly, as long as you understand it on a third grade level, that's better than most of the population, bro. It's unbelievable. So look for that video to drop tomorrow. That'll give me something to do. Love to see that. But Noah, today wasn't a busy news day. It was just kind of a weird news day. A lot of stuff coming out, and I want to get your opinions on it because a lot of it has to do with the sport that we follow, the sport that we love, and probably the sport that drives this show the most, and that's football.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because it's like we're in the NFL off season, but it doesn't feel like the NFL ever takes any time off. Obviously, today being the first day um, that the franchise tag is available. Obviously, don't see a lot of guys getting franchise tagged because usually it's in the player and the team's interest to try to work out a contract before that. So
Yes.
usually those come in hot there at the last. Um, so we got like a 2 week window or so for that.
Yeah, you got about 2 weeks and 2 weeks before Aaron
Little
Rodgers announces where he will be playing,
yeah
but we'll get into that later.
yeah, a little over 2 weeks till the end of that franchise tag deadline before free agency starts, and I'm sure most of the franchise tags will happen right in those last couple days before the deadline.
No, absolutely. We'll be busy with that. But the name that everyone is going to really be paying attention to coming in these next 2 weeks, a name that was interviewed today and had over 140,000 people watching it, and then once it was announced that he wasn't announcing where he was going, everyone dropped off. Of course, we're talking about the most polarizing quarterback in the NFL now, Mr. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's been very clear that he will announce it like right before the free agency starts and everything for Devontae and stuff, and he's announced that he'll do it on the Pat McAfee Show on that Tuesday and everything. He's been very clear on that. He's been very clear on everything he says. I don't understand why everyone keeps trying to, expect that he's going to come out and do something that he didn't say he was going to do.
So if he's announcing it on Pat McAfee Show, that would mean we're probably, 2 weeks to the day out from knowing that decision. Okay.
Yep, 2 weeks to the day. And, I mean, there was 140,000 people, and he was just going to be on to talk the shit. And imagine when he's actually going to be on there announcing. Pat McAfee's about to see some incredible numbers, so shout out to him for what him and the boys are doing over there. That stuff's insane, man. Those numbers that they're doing are unreal. But, yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers in 2 weeks is going to announce that he's coming to the Cardinals. That's going to be pretty exciting. And we will see where it goes from there. Noah, we're going to stick in football. Different type of news, though, and we're sticking with the NFL a little bit. The XFL. You remember the XFL? Happened right before COVID, was going pretty well, shut down, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson bought it.
They got completely derailed by COVID.
They really did, just like any other small business that started up around that time. It was rough, man.
I mean, they were going pretty well. I was enjoying watching.
It was great.
Watching those games. I was DC Defenders, baby. We were doing all right. But I don't know. I'm excited for the XFL to be making a comeback. I thought there were a lot of interesting, cool things that they were doing. With that, and hopefully we'll see that again, and that'll be part of this. It's not necessarily a partnership, but I don't know exactly what you'd call it, but
I would call it a vested interest in growing the game. Because that's essentially what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the game safer and everything because, we're seeing a lot of these kids and stuff not starting to hit until high school or even right before high school and stuff. And so if they can develop technology or ways to improve gameplay and flow of the game that prevents injuries and stuff, and they can start implementing that at younger and younger ages, that's going to be good. And that's what I think the XFL is doing here when they announced their partnership with the NFL. I will call it a partnership with the NFL to implement these, to implement new rules, different safety features and equipment, stuff like that, along with new technology such as that we saw with the in the XFL originally with the guy with the Xbox remote doing a quick replay and then sending it down to the field. So we're going to see a lot of stuff like that, and I'm stoked on it, I was a big fan of the XFL as well. I got to watch a couple games here and there. But, yeah, it was a good time. Good time. Shout out Vince McMahon for creating this. And, I mean, we'll see what The Rock does with it. Obviously, that deal with the Canadian Football League falling through earlier last year, so they could have the CFL could have a season. But it's The Rock. I mean, everything that man touched turns to gold, I feel.
Yeah, and we'll find out. Obviously, the XFL making a point to say that they're not just going to be like a developmental league for the NFL. Going to be unique on their own. I don't know that this announcement was necessarily like needed, because like the NFL, they're just doing what they always do and have done, and this time they're just saying ahead of time that, hey, yeah, we might take some things, because I mean, the NFL has adopted other things from all these some of these other football leagues that have been established and fallen through, but it's just the only difference is the NFL is now admitting ahead of time that they might take some of the rule changes.
and expected. And hey, some of the stuff that I was reading about had to do with pace of play and making kickoffs more exciting but safe for the players. They're going to start from the 25 and adjust like where they stand and stuff and when they start running, so that the collisions aren't as heavy and everything. And so it's going to be a lot of good coming to the NFL, and hopefully the days of taunting being emphasized are over, and we can focus on real stuff that will enhance the game that we love to cover. Speaking, Noah, of the game we love to cover, have you ever been sitting in your room or in your car driving, listening to some stuff about the NFL? You hear a player's name and you're like, oh shit, I forgot that he plays for that team or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then didn't you wish that you could just learn a whole new league of football with this, just all these new teams, all these new players you've never heard of or you may have heard of from their college days, or that one time you went to an arena football game or some shit like that, or the one time you watched a CFL game? And again, I'm not chopping down these guys or anything like that. They're playing football at a higher level than I could ever imagine. But with that being said, Noah, we just somehow got a shit ton of more work for us to do.
Well, yeah, we got spring football, baby.
We got spring football finally, with the USFL, which has been announced for a while, but finally having their draft starting today, Tuesday, 2/22/22. And, they did it a very interesting style. They did it by position. So first round was quarterbacks, second round was defensive ends, so on and so forth, until they had half of a roster. I believe rounds 1 through 20 were today, with 20 through 43 coming tomorrow, and then, of course, free agency and all that bullshit. There will be another supplemental draft right before the, I believe a month before the league starts, to get 80 more players into, 80 total more players onto some teams and stuff, so they have reserves and everything in case of injuries and such. I'm excited, bro. I'm always, like, anything football at a high level with the same concept of the NFL, no gimmicks, nothing like that. Arena football's fun and everything, but it's a gimmick. You look at CFL and everything, those rules, I mean, it's fine, I guess, but it's confusing as hell in my opinion. What are your thoughts on this USFL, besides being stoked that we get more and more football?
So I'm curious, do they do like a snake draft type of thing with?
Yes. Yeah, they do a snake draft and everything, like, it's a regular draft, but they just did it by position. And so I believe the first overall pick was please hold, the Michigan Panthers selected quarterback Shea Patterson. He played for Michigan, former 5-star recruit. He was at Mississippi and Michigan, good college career and everything. He was the first overall pick in the USFL draft, so shout out to him. That's awesome.
All right, and you said that season kicks off in April?
Yes, I believe right after March Madness, we will start getting weekend football again. I'm not 100. I have not been able to find whether it's going to be on Saturdays, Sundays. I do believe it's going to be on a weekend. So, I mean, hey, if it's Sundays, I'm not going to complain. But I had a good time betting on NASCAR this weekend. So if I bet on NASCAR or football on Sunday, I'm a happy man. Yep, that is that. Noah, but with that, we will have to start, talking about our favorite teams and everything like that, so you better start doing some research on that, bud, because...
I will, yeah. I got to look at who the players are, who the coaches are, and probably pick my team using that criteria, I guess.
I think I'm going to go with name, honestly. I think I'm just going to go with name. Like the Houston Gamblers, that's a fucking name right there. We should sponsor that team, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to put my decision on hold until I see how these rosters are shaping up. If there's any particular players that I really enjoyed watching in college, or maybe if they had a stint in the NFL, that'll probably influence my decision. But we'll see. I do just
want to point out one thing, though. If you are a Commanders fan, a Washington football fan, whatever you want to call them, you have to be looking at all of these brand new teams being developed and everything like that. And just look at your organization and think, how the fuck did we get the Commanders and all these other teams have half-decent fucking names? Like, what are we doing here? The Commies, and you've got the Houston Gamblers. You've got the Houston Gamblers, the New Jersey Generals. Okay, come on. Come on, Generals, really, 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 Washington. That's what we're doing here. And then what else? Philadelphia Stars, just all, actual names for teams. Tampa Bay Bandits, I mean, that's sketchy, I guess. Michigan Panthers, no, it's ridiculous. Washington, you should be ashamed of yourself. Dan Snyder, sell the team.
Yeah, well, hey, let's go commies, baby.
Let's go, commies. Jesus Christ. But no, before we wrap up here, it is 2/22/22, and I think it would be shameful if we didn't talk about our number 2 Arizona Wildcats right there below number 1 Gonzaga. Tommy Lloyd taking that Gonzaga mindset, bringing it to U of A, and it's really paying off for our Wildcats. They have a nice stretch of games coming up this weekend at Utah, Colorado, and then USC next Tuesday. Good little road stretch that I think will really prepare us for March, get us in that mentality of being on the road, staying in hotels, playing in probably not the best environments, and so I think this is coming at the perfect time, and I think if the boys can go ahead and take advantage of this, we're going to be sitting real pretty going to conference championships and tournament time.
Yeah, that USC game is going to be tough at the end of a 3-game road trip.
Yeah.
Stacked 3-game road trip. Big shout out to the Pac-12 for scheduling like a bunch of jackasses. This is like our third 3-game road trip this season.
Yeah, seriously, play. What the hell?
Really trying to screw us over, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, COVID things are different. It's weird, but apparently they, whatever. They totally are fine with, working with UCLA to make their schedule as easy as possible. But, we don't get that luxury.
No, it's going to be funny, the perks that we get after we win a national championship this year.
Well, the last team to bring the Pac-12 national championship was Arizona back in 97.
Oh, that's right.
So.
That's right. Huh. Anyway.
But, we'll see. And then, after that, it'll be the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas. And, I would expect us to be in that final day of that at the very least, if not winning the whole 100%. Thing. And it'd be nice to see us lock up and bring home that 1 seed.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Hope it happens. Bring it home, boys. Noah, anything else really to say about this day? I know, as I said earlier, just not a big day in sports news, just kind of a weird day. Any thoughts, updates, anything I missed before we sign off for the night?
Not really. I mean, there are not really any big upsets or anything. I mean, UConn obviously knocking off Villanova, but that was a tight game between 2 ranked teams, so a little bit of an upset, but not a huge one.
No. Not bad.
Yeah, it looks like we got some interesting games tomorrow, and then things really heat up, Thursday and then Saturday.
Of course, and Saturday is just the best day, and it's awesome. 100 plus games, and you just get to bet on all of them. Love to see it. All right, well, Noah, I think that's all good for today. We will be back next time with more thoughts on college basketball, NFL, USFL, XFL, NHL, college basketball. Did I miss any sports, Noah? Have we covered them all? MLB. Oh, I do want to get your thoughts on MLB really quick going into meetings today and the rest of this week, trying to get a collective bargaining agreement done. Not looking too hot from all reports and the way these meetings have been going.
No, the league and the Players Association are still way, way far off on those numbers. The league has budged a little bit. Players Association not moving at all in their position. I don't personally get it. I mean, they have enough money. Obviously, the MLB is the worst run and operated league in professional sports that we have.
Oh, it's awful.
There's a bunch of clowns running the show, and it's a total fucking shit show. So I would not be surprised if this season does not get started on time. We are going to have a truncated season because they're probably not going to figure shit out until by the time it's like June, July, then maybe they'll like fucking finally work something out. But I wouldn't keep my fingers crossed, breath held for that.
Hopefully it's before that. I mean, I do think less games are better for baseball. You go to 120, you go to 110, 115. I do think that's better for the game in the long term because it is just a long season at 162 right now. Dude, I hate to see a sport that I love so much and I love to follow, love to watch. I hate to see it go down like this. It's awful, and the game has been damaged so much by Rob Manfred and this group of owners running the league, and it's terrible, bro. It's terrible, and I really hope something gets figured out, but shit. I really have no faith. Have you listened to Rob Manfred talk before? Oh my god, his press conferences just make me want to slam my head against a wall. Terrible.
Yeah.
Well,
like I said, terribly run league. It's just a, clown car of idiots making terrible decision after terrible decision too, which, last thing I got to say about that is like the league was struggling too, and they needed McGuire and Sammy Sosa all juiced up on steroids to get people back watching baseball and get people back interested. And then you have another thing, obviously, like you got Barry Bonds not getting into the Hall of Fame, and then immediately after that they say they're going to stop testing for steroids and stuff.
And let's not forget Big Papi got in, and Big Papi was definitely on the roids.
Yeah. And so clearly,
what are we doing here?
Clearly, they finally realized that people watch more baseball when a bunch of fucking home runs are being jacked. And, let's be honest, people don't, hardcore true baseball fans will watch, to see a beautiful gem of a pitching game. But all that other viewership that you're getting, people are tuning in because they want to see runs, they want to see home runs, they want to see big explosive plays, like.
And there's two approaches to the game, like in every sport. In football, you can have a very defensive mindset, a very run game mindset. It's not an exciting game, but it wins football games. And same thing with baseball. You can either have a team that hits nothing but dingers or a pitching staff that is unfucking believable. But who knows? We might not even get to talk about home runs and stuff come spring. So we'll see what happens this spring and summer with the MLB. We will keep you posted. If you're not already, please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the TikTok at DGenTakes, as we are posting all of our stuff from the metaverse into Decentraland and all updates about our future NFTs, wearables, and studios and future shows. It's going to be epic. Getting more and more excited about it as we get going, and a video will drop soon kind of explaining everything. So if you're like, what's going on, AJ? I'll be like, this is what's going on, guys. All right, this is what's going on. This is not. AJ's
gonna take your hand. He's gonna guide you through it. You don't have to worry. I know it sounds scary, but AJ will be there for you. AJ will be there for you to guide you through it.
Holding your hand the entire way. I will explain the Decentraland world to everybody in the metaverse and Web3 in ways that Zuckerberg can't imagine because that brain is just too big and he's a robot and can't break the stuff down. But that's another conversation for later anyway. Keep following us on all that stuff. We'll keep you updated on that. We will be back covering everything and anything that we can find in the world of sports because that's what we do, that's what we love, and we will see you next time on Degenerate Takes.